I'm going to say a word or two about the Abyssinian Crisis now, but before I do, I want to say another word or two about the League of Nations. The League of Nations was an organisation which was set up straight after World War I was over. Originally, the decision was made by the United States to set up the League of Nations. However, when it came to making the final agreements about the League of Nations, America decided not to join. As a result, Japan, France, Italy and Great Britain become the key figures in the League of Nations, and that league is designed, shall we say, to maintain world peace. They can do this in a number of ways. One of the ways in which they can do it is that they can use military force to prevent another country from behaving in an aggressive fashion. Unfortunately, the League of Nations has no standing army of its own. The power, if you like, to use the army to prevent other people behaving aggressively is devolved to the member states of the League of Nations. Similarly, they can use economic sanctions. However, because the USA is not involved in the League of Nations, that means, therefore, that those economic sanctions are basically worthless. America is the biggest economy in the world at this particular moment in time, and without their backing, an economic sanction doesn't really have much power. And finally, another problem with the League of Nations is that the four main powers, Italy, Japan, France and Great Britain, often behave in a self-first manner. So they look after their own interests first before then looking at maintaining world peace. So the Abyssinian Crisis. The Abyssinian Crisis was an event which occurred between Italy, or at least it was aggression on the part of Italy, whilst they were trying to capture what is now Ethiopia, also known as Abyssinia, which is, if you can see on the map, just where my hand disappears here, this is Abyssinia, just here. So, why did this happen? First of all, it happened because Italy was an ambitious country. They had the smallest of all of the overseas empires of those four main powers. And they want, basically, an empire in Africa. They already own 2 or 3 countries in Africa, and Abyssinia at this stage in time is the only country which is not owned by another European power. So, one of the countries bordering Abyssinia is an Italian country, or an Italian-controlled country, and at some point 30 soldiers end up being killed in a clash on the Abyssinian border. Italy, therefore, prepares to invade Abyssinia. It's the excuse that they've been looking for. Before they actually manage to invade, Britain and France decide to meet up with Mussolini because they are concerned about the rising power of Germany, and they want Italy as an ally against Germany. So they sign an organisation called the Strasser Front, where they agree to oppose Germany in the event of German aggression. They sign that in April 1935. Mussolini hopes that this is going to give him the green light to attack Abyssinia and be unopposed. Just as he's about to make those preparations to attack Abyssinia, Sir Samuel Hoare, who is the British Foreign Minister, makes an impassioned speech to the League of Nations to stop the Italian invasion of Abyssinia. Unfortunately, Italy ignore that speech. They ignore the League of Nations and they invade Abyssinia anyway. Haile Selassie, who is at this time the leader of Ethiopia, and some of you will know him as, he's also Rastafari, or he's the head, if you like, of the Rastafarian Church. He was in charge of Ethiopia at this time. He appeals to the League of Nations to say that they want some sanctions placed against Italy to prevent this whole thing from happening. So the League do impose sanctions, but those sanctions are incredibly limited. In order that Britain and France avoid Hitler joining with Italy, they do impose some sanctions, but the key thing is that they leave open the Suez Canal and they keep on selling oil to Italy. Because they leave the Suez Canal open, that means that military operations in Abyssinia on Italy's part are far easier to carry out. And therefore, Italy are able to take over Abyssinia fairly quickly. Unbeknownst to anybody, the Hoare-Laval Pact is signed. Obviously it's not unbeknownst to everybody, it's known by Hoare and Laval. But Hoare and Laval are British and French foreign ministers. They get together and they decide to ease the situation. They are going to give 2/3 of Ethiopia to Mussolini and allow Italy to have those 2/3 of Ethiopia, or Abyssinia, should I say. When this comes to light, when this is made public, both Hoare and Laval are forced to resign. Italy conquers Abyssinia anyway and end up with all of Abyssinia, but it goes to show that the League is basically powerless.